Good afternoon, I'm Jack Walker.
And I'm Dan Bates. Here are your headlines.
A man has been given a life sentence in prison today for the murder of Staffordshire University student Ennie Mevish.
Racial abuse has been graffitied on garages in Stoke-on-Trent.
An ongoing campaign to ban legal highs in Crewe and Nantwich has spurred ex-users to come forward.
And two large retailers are relocating their stores after it's been announced Festival Park is having a makeover.
68-year-old David Marshall has appeared in Stafford Crown Court via video for sentencing for the murder of Ennie Mevish. Our reporter Amy Jones went to the court.
David Marshall has been sentenced to life imprisonment with a minimum of 20.5 years for the murder of Staffordshire University student Ennie Mevish. Ennie had met Marshall in April last year while she went on jogs. They had built a strong friendship and Marshall became a regular visitor with a key for her house in Shelton. Marshall had been financially supporting Ennie and she even referred to him as Dad. Marshall, who has previous convictions for violent crimes and sexual assault with a minor, was breathalyzed over 3.5 hours after the stabbing and was 1.5 times over the limits, suggesting he was under the influence when he attacked Ennie and her friend Rizwan Makari. Due to previous convictions, Marshall should have told his supervising officer about the relationship, but Marshall hadn't. DI Andy Lyford spoke on behalf of the family.
I'd like to read a statement on behalf of Ennie's family. Ennie was a loving sister and daughter who was taken from us suddenly and violently. We are so proud of her achievements. She was beautiful, clever, and had her whole life ahead of her. We are devastated by her death. Nothing can make up for that, but we are glad Marshall is now paying for his actions.
This is Amy Jones, Staffslive.
Parents in Crewe are campaigning against the sale of legal highs and how readily available they are to underage children. Libby Lovell reports.
Britain has one of the biggest markets for legal highs, with up to 700,000 young people thought to be experimenting with the dangerous substances. Legal highs are thought to be now more dangerous than the illegal substances because they are so uncontrollable. The more the government bans, the more pop up overnight. The creators are also able to get away by using over-the-counter toxins, most of which can be found in everyday household cleaning products, and using warning signs which include not for human consumption. Although legal highs are only allowed to be bought by those over the age of 18, many children are able to go online and buy as much as they like because they are so cheap. Michelle Blakely told us of the experience she had when she found out her son had been taking legal highs.
I've had the problems with my son to the point where he's now under mental health, and it's all directly, it's proved it's directly just through the legal highs. Things have got quite bad to the point where he's slashed himself everywhere, shot himself in the leg, all down to this. So it really needs to stop.
Parents are now demanding that the government look at banning the selling of legal highs and making them all illegal, or at least banning the selling online.
People can get involved. I suggest emailing MPs, which is the best place to start because they're the only people with power to stop it, or just by joining the Facebook groups and giving their input and tips.
Julie Corns created the Facebook campaign to stop the sale of legal highs in Crewe and Nantwich, and it has received over 1,000 likes.
Campaign started mainly one shop, but it seems to have rolled on a bit and is now talking about other shops, other areas, which is all good.
Racially abusive graffiti has appeared on garages in Stoke-on-Trent. Thornton Road and Spencer Road are in the heart of multicultural area of Shelton and have always been a target for vandals. Some viewers may be offended by this content. Molly Ruskovich's reports.
Along this back street, just a few yards from the university, the walls have been vandalised with racist graffiti. Residents were horrified by the racial slurs covering the student housing. We spoke to Hifsa Iqbal, Diversity and Equality Officer for the university, about racism in Stoke-on-Trent and what we can do to help equality.
I don't think Stoke-on-Trent is necessarily any better or any worse than anywhere else in the country, to be honest. It's just a sad state of the world that we're currently living in, that racism is out there, and it's something that certain communities do have to face, some on a daily basis, depending on whereabouts they are in the country. So I wouldn't say that it's worse in Stoke than anywhere else. I think it's just part of the world that we're living. I think tackling racism is something that we've been trying to do for a long time. A lot of it boils down to education. It comes about when there are all sorts of fears that people have within communities, within societies. And I think we all have a part to play when it comes to tackling, you know, some of the misconceptions that are out there about particular groups of people, particular faith groups, and it's about raising that awareness.
11% of Stoke-on-Trent residents are from an ethnic minority, but with these acts we're forced to question just how multicultural this city is.
Retail outlet Festival Park in Stoke will be undergoing a facelift. The plans will see 2 large retailers relocate and around 90 jobs are expected to be created. Daniel Leddington went to see what this effect could have on customers.
Shoppers have backed plans to see Outlet Festival Park to be updated. 90 jobs are expected to be created from this, but some shuffling of major retail stores is to be expected.
Festival Park will be seeing a large-scale makeover over the upcoming months, where it will see 2 of its retailers relocating. Toys R Us will be moving into the current store, and whereas Next will be moving both its stores from Opticon Park and Festival Park. Along with other changes, you can expect to see the car park to be revamped up and new walkways to be installed.
With supermarkets in the price war, it's not surprising that the retailers are suffering. Online shopping is on the increase with more people ditching the high street.
You can do it all in your own home, so it's a lot easier.
Depends what you're sort of after. Like clothes-wise, I don't think it's any cheaper online than what it is in store.
Clothes, I go to the shop. But anything like DVD, CDs, things like that, like I buy from Amazon, something like that. Like.
With losses at major retailers and profits down, will this be enough to save Britain's shopping tips? Daniel Lenton, Staffslive.
Now, with the general election looming, our reporter Danny Lavalette took to the streets of Shelton to find out if the public recognise any of the candidates running for Parliament.
It's just 3 weeks until the general election. We've had debates, interviews, arguments, and we can expect an extremely tight run-in towards the end for these 7. However, despite the media attention and coverage clouding the election, do people even recognise who they're voting for? New faces are emerging, but can you name all of the big 7?
So Dave, how do you think the election's gone this year?
It seems to be going pretty well at the moment. Can I give you my views about it?
Of course you can.
I think 5 years in office is never enough to do anything. So another 5 years for David Cameron, I think that'll be sound.
And you think he's the man for it?
I do think he is, yeah.
Conservative then?
Conservative, mate, yeah.
So Brian, how do you think the election's gone this year? How the race for the...
Well, I think Nigel Farage was right when he said that people aren't interested until the last minute. Over Easter period, people weren't interested. Now it's beginning to warm up, but it's all talk. It's all gobbledygook and they're all lies and pretense.
So Sahil, how do you think the general election's gone this year?
I think it's going all right. I think we just need to see what the legislation that they're putting through with each party and whether they're going to be really clear about it. From what's been going on recently, I think they're not being clear exactly what they're going to be doing once they get into power, so it will be good to perhaps they can get a bit more clear what they're about to do.
Say Lib Dems, again a bit of a strange picture. With Cameron,
yeah.
In Parliament. Rhymes with egg. Clegg. Good, Nick Clegg.
Got no idea who that is.
No.
Is she the Green Party?
She is.
I can't think of a name.
I haven't a clue, but I think that's a Welsh one. Scottish
Try
one.
again.
Is that Scottish one?
Ooh, no.
One
Close.
of them Scottish.
Yeah, one of them is Scottish, yeah.
I don't know. No, I don't know either.
That's Natalie Bennett. She's from the Green Party. Ed Miliband's. This
Ed
guy.
Miliband.
Ed Miliband's
Yeah.
Cameron.
Yeah, he always have funny pictures. David, right?
That's his brother, actually, Ed.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Ed. Yeah.
Wallace and Gromit. He looks like Wallace and Gromit, but yeah, Ed Miliband.
Good. Nigel Farage. Wow. Good.
I don't even know.
So you're good at this.
Nigel Farage.
Nigel Farage. UKIP.
Farage.
Farage. Very good. UKIP. Nigel Farage. Well done.
No idea.
No?
I think she's a Welsh one. Scottish one.
Well, there's the Scottish lass. What's it? Nicholas Sturgeon.
Very good.
Right.
Very good.
No. I think I've seen her, but I haven't really been paying attention to it, so I'm not sure.
That's Nicole Sturgeon. She's the SNP, so Scottish National Party.
Right, okay.
This is Danny Lavalette for Staffslive.
Students from Stoke-on-Trent Sixth Form College hosted a debate for their local candidates today. Representatives from Labour, Conservatives, Lib Dem and the Green Party all answered questions put to them by the students. UKIP declined to attend. Here are some of the reactions from the students who watched the debate.
The turnout represented how the young people in this college are actually interested in politics, whereas young people are normally associated as not being interested in it.
I think it's just a great experience. I mean, to meet the local candidates that close is just great.
I think it was lovely to have the personal connection with them, because I didn't know any of them other than Tristan until today, and the Conservative representative I really liked, and normally I'd never think that I'd connect or agree with any Conservative policies, so I think it was really interesting to listen to different policies that you wouldn't really know about otherwise.
I think the questions that were asked were really good. They addressed all the issues that would matter to us, as well as other people voting, so I think it's really good.
Well, I think it's really important, isn't it, that they did that to try and get young people involved in politics, Jack?
Definitely, yeah. I think if my mum and dad hadn't spoken to me about politics when I was a teenager, I don't think I'd be voting in this election.
No, with this election as tight as it is, it's so important that any votes are important, so the youth vote could make a massive difference, couldn't it?
Definitely, that extra little percent might get you into Parliament.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, tomorrow is National Telephone Day, celebrating 139 years since Alexander Graham Bell invented the phone. We sent Joe Farah to find out how the phone has changed over the years and to see how much we really rely on smartphones.
Mr. Watson! I want you!
Those were the first words spoken by Alexander Graham Bell after inventing the telephone in 1876. The device was quick to take on, although it wasn't until the second half of the 20th century when phones became common in households across the UK. Landlines evolved into mobiles, which paved the way for the smartphones we all use today, with the total number of smartphone users expected to exceed 2 billion later this year. And with our phones such a big part of our lives, do we think we could live without them?
I can't live without my phone because I use social media too much. I'm a dance teacher, so I use it to contact people for rehearsals, and the same for uni as well.
I couldn't live without my mobile phone, no. I text on it, I go on Facebook, Twitter, I use all the social media. I definitely couldn't live without a mobile phone.
Same really, it's a lifeline really, if anyone needs me or anything, it's just a thing to have.
Honestly, I don't. Maybe a few years ago when it wasn't such an ingrained part of our culture, but these days there's so much on there, Facebook, Twitter, internet access. I don't think many people could live without their phones these days.
So with smartphones a massive part of our day-to-day lives, it looks like we'll still be stuck to them in another 140 years. Joe Farah, Staffslive.
Well, could you imagine life without a phone or smartphone, Jack?
Sorry, Dan, I'm never off Twitter.
No, I definitely couldn't live without my phone anyway, that's for sure. Now over to Monica Rimmer with the sport.
Thanks, Dan. Sunderland have said that winger Adam Johnson is still free to play for them despite being charged with 3 sexual offences involving a 15-year-old girl. The 27-year-old England international will appear in court on the 20th of May. It means that he is free for selection tomorrow as Stoke host Johnson Sunderland at the Britannia Stadium. A win for the Potters could see them rise into 8th in the league. Port Vale can secure safety in League One tomorrow with a win away at Yeovil. The Valiants are favourites for the clash against the side at the root of the table. Rob Page's side are still only 4 points clear of safety. The Champions League draw took place this morning. Barcelona were the first out of the hat and they face 5-time winners Bayern Munich. In the other semi-final, Juventus host Real Madrid in the first leg, with the second leg taking place at the Bernabeu. In the Europa League draw, Napoli host Dnipro and Seville take on Fiorentina. In cricket, play is due to resume shortly in the West Indies. England are in pole position for the second test after their overnight total of 373 for 6. Joe Root's unbeaten 118 means England are 74 runs ahead already. Controversially, West Indian Marlon Samuels saluted England batsman Ben Stokes when he got out. The pair have shared a number of heated exchanges throughout the series so far. The salute has been labelled as banter. And finally, a bizarre story from Australia.
Shin lost more than just the race at Canterbury today after an embarrassing wardrobe malfunction.
Defender gets in by a head to Miss Riala. Modesty ran third, Anthology late.
OK, it's all happening tonight, isn't it? Puck's missing, and we'll get off that now. What's the odds of a horse?
Oh dear, well I hope you weren't eating your tea then. That's all your sport, back to you guys.
Thanks, Monica. Imagine what that jockey must have been thinking there, Jack. And now for some more entertainment, here's Queenie Goradima with the entertainment news.
Clear your evening because tonight is one of the biggest reveals of all time. Well, if you're a fan of the Kardashians, tonight Bruce Jenner will sit down for an exclusive interview with ABC's Diane Sawyer. He will finally reveal all about his gender transition. Not your cup of tea? Well, how do you fancy spending a weekend with some of the hot superheroes? The much anticipated Avengers sequel is now in cinemas. Yes, I can hear all your excitement. Have you ever just wanted to sit down and talk to a superhero? If you could sit down with Iron Man, aka Robert Downey Jr., what would you ask him? How often do you train? Who's your favourite Avenger? So many questions. Well, Channel 4's reporter Krishnan Guru Murthy was lucky enough to get his questions answered. Well, sort of.
In, you know, the dark periods you entered and taking drugs and drinking and all of that. And I just wondered whether, you know, you think you're free of all of that, or whether that's still something.
I'm sorry, I really don't. What are we doing?
Well, I'm just asking questions, that's all.
Right.
I mean,
okay. Bye.
Thank you. Are you... Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Do you...
You see what? Okay, it's just getting a little dinosaur in your...
No, look, I don't want to do that.
Awkward. Note to self, don't ask about his drug past. Sticking with the movie hype, Universal Pictures have just announced that there will be a Fast and Furious 8. Vin Diesel and his Fast family will be joined by the late Paul Walker's brother Cody. The film is set to be released in 2017. Now, in some sad news, Everybody Loves Raymond star Sawyer Sweeten has died aged 19. The actor is thought to have taken his own life on Thursday while visiting his family in Texas. Sawyer appeared in the US sitcom in the role of Jeffrey Barone alongside his twin brother Sullivan and real-life sister Allie. Any more sad news? McDreamy is dead. I'm sorry. Grey's Anatomy star Derek Shepherd was killed in a dramatic car accident. Derek has been a regular cast member since the beginning of the show. Are you sad to see the end of McDreamy? Let us know on Twitter at Staffslive. And in this week's strange news, Mila Kunis has been forced to deny that she stole a friend's old chicken when they were children. The actress is currently facing a $5,000 lawsuit. Christina Caro is accusing the Hollywood star of stealing the chicken called Doggy when Mila was 7 and Christina was a month old. That's all for the entertainment news. I will leave you with Mila and her husband Ashton Kutcher's hilarious response.
Let's just get this clear. You stole a chicken from a 1-month-old child who spoke to you in an entire conversation, it's just
The new Fast and Furious film, are you a fan of them?
I'll definitely be there. I love Tokyo Drift. Absolutely love that film.
Yeah, I really like the original, but it's just really sad, the whole Paul Walker situation, really, isn't it?
Oh, it's terrible. With Vin Diesel, they were such close mates.
They're so close, weren't they? Yeah, I know. And what about that Robert Downey Jr. situation as well? That just looked so awkward.
Such an awkward situation. I would hate to be in that situation.
Imagine, that'd be horrible.
I tell you what. Anyway, here's Neve with the weather.
For the rest of this afternoon, it will continue to stay dry and chilly, but with more clouds making an appearance as the day goes on. A southwesterly breeze will be developing later this afternoon, along with some patchy rain that will continue into the evening. Most places will, however, become dry overnight with a few clear intervals developing. As for the weekend, it looks like it isn't going to be as nice as it has been all week. We can expect it to be very cloudy with a couple of showers throughout the day tomorrow and the wet weather continuing through the night and into Sunday morning. That's all for your weather report. Back to you guys.
Well, the weather's been great, hasn't it, this week? But then that didn't look too fantastic.
I'm not looking forward to the weekend with the weather, but this week has been so sunny.
So good. Got a real good tan as well this week, I think. That's all for your news for now. For more information on all of today's stories, go to staffslive.co.uk or Staffslive on Twitter at the hashtag @StaffsLive. We'll have a quick run through again of the main headline, Jack.
A man has been given a life sentence in prison today for the murder of Staffordshire University student Annie Mevish.
And racial abuse has been graffitied on garages in Stoke-on-Trent.
An ongoing campaign to ban legal highs in Crewe and Nantwich has spurred ex-users to come forward.
And 2 large retailers are relocating stores after it's been announced Festival Park is having a makeover. And that's all for your news This afternoon, I'm Dan Bates.
And I'm Jack Walker.